this guy doesn't come, that's where Troy goes. He's better. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for coming. We didn't have any cookies prepared, but we are thinking of you. I am going to call this meeting to order, and a roll call, please.
Wood.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
Gabriel.
Here.
Gukin.
Here.
English.
Here.
And we have Seth Owens from Heart of the City Church for our invocation. If you would rise and stay for the pledge, please. Welcome, Seth. Up to the podium there.
Do you want me to pray first or to say the pledge?
No, you're first.
You're first.
Say the prayer and then do the pledge? I'll just say the prayer first?
Yep.
Okay, just say the prayer for now. I'm sorry. Okay.
We'll get it.
Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather together tonight. Lord, we thank you that you have called each one of us to pray for those in authority, those who are our leaders. Lord, I pray for wisdom for our city council members. I pray, God, that you would show yourself in such a tangible way and lead by your Spirit, God, so that decisions could be made that are wise and helpful for Coeur d'Alene and the surrounding area. Lord, we pray that you would keep our leaders safe and their families as well. And I pray that you would grant peace to their households, Lord, and that every decision that they make, God, we pray that it would be beneficial to the community and ultimately glorifying to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Seth. Amy, would you lead us in the pledge?
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Little adjust. You okay? You can hear me?
We're gonna sing it now.
Okay.
Out of key, yeah.
Any amendments to the agenda tonight, council? Hearing none. This is our public comment section. I think most of you folks that are going to talk have signed up. We ask you to stay in the 3-minute range. And we're going to just start off with John Deuce. John? Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Okay, Mayor McEvers, council members, Troy Tymeson, City Administrator, welcome. My name is John Doyce, and I represent the residential units of the Coeur d'Alene North condominium. Michael Williams will follow me. He'll represent the commercial business concerns of our occupants and owners in our condo. Our loud noise and traffic speed package was provided to you in advance. That's so you could go over it, understand what we're approaching. Please refer to the first paragraph. It expresses our principal concerns. I'll pause for 10 seconds for you to update on that.
Oh, okay, yeah, I have that. Yeah.
In summary, we have serious issues regarding traffic speed and vehicle noise along our corridor of concern, which is this map in your package. Traffic is already heavy on outbound Northwest Boulevard. It will only get worse when the new CDA Resort expansion opens and the Thomas George condo opens for occupancy. The vehicle noise is so loud that we must close our doors and windows to talk, eat, visit, and sleep in our units. Some owners have installed triple pane windows, others sound-absorbing double pane windows in the hope of dampening the vehicle noise. These solutions have not been effective. Please focus on our initiative at the bottom of the front page there. I'll pause again for a moment. Mayor McEvers, City Council members, we the undersigned 153 residents and owners request the installation of a permanent radar-activated speed limit display electronic sign adjacent to our condo. That's in your package. There are already 5 of these installed throughout the city. The city obviously has concluded that these radar signs are cost-effective in reducing noise, slowing speeds, and protecting property. The value must be apparent to our city engineers and managers, or they would never have approved the expense of these signs. Kelly Wurst, Kootenai County Treasurer, assisted me in determining that in 2024, our CDA North condominium owners contributed $128,159 in taxes directly to the city of Coeur d'Alene. We residents of our condominium are conscientious citizens. We volunteer, we contribute to local charities, we support the well-being of Coeur d'Alene, and we vote. Please act now on our request for an electronic speed sign. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Michael Williams.
Get some
Welcome,
extra
Michael.
time here. So good evening, council members, mayor, and Mr. Timonson. I'm here tonight to strongly recommend the installation of a speed indicator sign at the northwest location. This is not just about slowing cars, but it's about protecting our community and the thousands of visitors that come here each year. Recently, right at the corner of Lakeside and Northwest Boulevard, directly in front of our commercial building, a driver came around the corner too fast. They lost control and took out our commercial sign. The damage was $36,000. But here's the truth. Signs can be replaced. People can't. The main crosswalk where the driver lost control is not just an intersection. It is the main pedestrian route for the Fort Grounds Park, a popular destination that sees thousands of visitors annually. Each day, residents, commercial tenants, visitors use this crosswalk to get to the park and surrounding businesses. It could have just been easily a family, a child, and it's not just a crosswalk sign. So the data backs up our actions and our requests. The Federal Highway Administration studies show speed feedback signs reduce the average speeds by 2 to 4 miles per hour. And it also reduces, it reduces average speeds by 2 to 4 miles per hour, and in high violation areas reduces it 6 to 8 miles an hour. Lower speeds directly save lives, and cities that cut average speeds save up to 48% fewer pedestrian fatalities. These signs are cost-effective and have immediate impact and continue to work along after installation. They protect property, but more importantly, they protect lives. Furthermore, in addition to protecting lives, another major benefit is the reduction in noise annoyance. Studies, including the Zurich study, shows that it reduces accidents, but it also reduces noise annoyance. This means less stress and improvement of quality of life for our downtown residents and visitors. Okay, I've got 48 seconds. So by investing in this sign, we're not just investing in safety, we're investing in a healthier, more livable community. I'm asking for you for tonight to support our initiative, a speed indicator sign on the northwest location. Let's act now so we don't have to gather here later in the wake of a preventable tragedy. And lastly, I'd like to thank all the downtown residents and CDA North people who've come to support this initiative, and if you guys could stand, I'd appreciate that if that's allowed. Yeah. Thank you for coming and listening to me talk.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Janice Daly. Janice, are you still here? Okay.
I'm going to take my first 3 minutes to give you an example.
We'll keep an eye on it for you.
I'm going to take my first 3 minutes. I'm Janice. Thank you for having me. I'm going to take my first 3 minutes to give you an example of the noise that we hear every day, hundreds of times, while we live here. We can't enjoy anything, so here we go.
Keep it by the microphone so they can hear it at home.
Oh, I might break the microphone. I think it turned itself off. Every day, every evening, 50 times, 100 times. Every night.
All right, Janice? Janice? I think we got it.
Right?
Wow, timing.
Thank you, Janice. Oh, we're going to listen to it again? Oh, you sure?
We're all here for the same.
Okay.
That's why, and the gal coming after me.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask?
Sure, open it up.
Some of you know that I was here, if you can hear me, some of you know I was here 2 years ago. It was my first visit to the council meeting. I'd never been, and I was trying to do this the right way, trying to work with the city, work with the police department to come up with a plan. I'd heard that for 8 months. We can't go out on our balcony, we can't enjoy a dinner, a TV show, our grandkids. The dog hates it. This is every night, and it's not all in a row, but it's constant. And we had no help. So anyway, I got with you guys over here, and we had a municipal, you gave a municipal code that had them be fined a greater amount, because they didn't have any leg. The police department did, it was $50 and nothing. So you guys made a new city ordinance, right? And we said, okay, great, finally, the police department has some teeth now. We thought, okay, finally. It's disturbing and disgusting that nothing's happened. This has continued the entire time. We see no effort, no enforcement. I've tried reasoning with everybody, calling. I can't tell you how many times I've called the police department to say the noise, please, it's obnoxious. Not once has a police officer responded to the area we live. It's right at Lakeside, Sherman, and Northwest Boulevard. We live right up there on the 14th floor. We can see everything. I'm sure Christy would remember I invited you up 2 years ago to take a look, take a listen. I'm not blaming you for not coming, but they can pull, don't have enough officers, but it's baloney. We can see where they're parked. Every other night at least, there's a police car parked at the whatever that's, Independence Point parking lot, if you call it that, for probably 2 hours. While this is going on, and you guys all know, and I don't know what they're doing, and they maybe have the cush job of walking down along the Strand into the Fort grounds, because we used to live there too and see them. But they shouldn't have the luxury of doing that when we're having to listen to this. day after day after day. We can see you park on top of it. We can see you parked on top of the parking structure. We can see you down at the chamber building, and they're not taking care of the sound. I'm actually so sick of it. Anyway, a couple of weeks ago, I felt well enough. I had a brain injury because of noise, not this, and I'll tell you later. I finally felt well enough to say, I'm going to go out, get some ice cream with my husband, Ken. And I didn't have my earphones on because I had ear damage, I had eye damage. And we walked across First Street, going across onto Sherman, where Hagedon is, across the grass. This motorcycle came down Sherman, not fast because it was crowded. There were at least 50 or 100 people there. It was packed I think it was a Friday night. But anyway, he just came slamming in. I didn't have my ear set with me, blasting. And I put my head over my ears and then finally pointed at him. Then I finally gave him the finger. And what do you think he did? He revved it louder and louder. It's trucks, it's motorcycles, and those little cars, I don't know what they're called, constantly. And then Saturday night, we probably had 100 of them. I couldn't sleep till 11:45. It's usually someone's getting off of work and going northbound Northwest Boulevard. It might be every 10 minutes, but you can't fall asleep. So, and then right after that, a funny thing, just not funny, you guys probably heard it in your building. So at 11:45, I go, finally they stopped. 12:15 comes a guy with a blower blowing the parking lot of the museum. I said, are you kidding me? But anyway, that's a rule. You probably should not have them do that. We know there's not just the municipal code. There's a disturbing the peace, and it's Title 186409. And it's illegal in Idaho for anyone to maliciously and willfully, and by the way, these people are repeat offenders, they're the same ones, most of them. They go round and round, up Lakeside, round Sherman. So it's on purpose, it's intentional, so they're all the things for harassment. It's intentional, it's illegal for anyone in Idaho to maliciously and willfully disturb another person, the peace and quiet of a neighborhood in a loud and boisterous manner by doing any of the following, and I'll say loud noise. It's harassment. They fall into that category. And disturbing the peace is a misdemeanor. It's no longer just a ticket. It's a misdemeanor punishable by a fine of $1,000 and or 6 months in jail. I know we got the police chief here. So I'm glad you're here. We need you. So I'm not done. Harassment. Important considerations about harassment, because this is harassment now. They've done it so many times, hundreds of times, and we're having to live with it. I mean, I hate this place, I'll be honest. I'm miserable, and that's not fair. I'm a lovely person. I pick up trash in the park. I knew Wally and the crane. I know all the guys that work the park, and it's terrible. So the intent of harassment is determining whether actions can constitute harassment, often involves assessing the intent behind the repetitive noise. We know there's intent. Just putting on something, a modified engine, what does that mean? Loud. It's miserable. I'm sounding nasty, but excessive noise. The noise level with harassment needs to be clearly unreasonable and disruptive, impacting your daily life. Everybody? We've got documents, we've got hundreds of people. Ken and I have been working with the police department. I've made tapes of conversations with various people here in the department. Ken and I learned how to do it on our phone. I've got a lot of things taped, and I think the police department needs a little bit of training, because they've told it first when I got there, we moved into One Lakeside, walk in the park, I'm talking to a couple of officers about the noise, and the first thing they told me was their First Amendment right. So, got to change that. That's a little training.
Do you mind to keep it focused this
Oh,
way?
sure,
Because
I'm
every
sorry.
time you turn away, you lose the
I
microphone,
apologize.
and both us and the people listening.
Oh,
so
I
just
apologize.
address this way. Thanks.
Okay. So anyway, in the park about 2.5 years ago, I would talk to the officers in the park that were walking the park. And when I talked about the sound and the motorcycles, and it's horrible, and they said it was a First Amendment right. I know that's not right. That's before we did the ordinance. But I've had other situations where, with loud noise, and it's how I got injured, and I may as well tell you anyway, there was a band I guess they do it from Emerge, I guess is a little thing that does nonprofit, does artwork and stuff. And every year they have bands come in on one of the nights. And it's never been loud and it's never been where it was that night. So it was the 11th of July, and I got a traumatic brain injury from it, from going close to the speakers, because I called the police, and they'd been playing for 2 hours, and it was a DJ, and I found out a friend of mine heard it in the Fort Grounds on Park Street. She heard the bass. So I go over there, and I said, called the police, and they refused to come because they had a permit. And I said, but you don't understand. And I have all tapes of this, I have this conversation. And I said, it's excessively loud. You've got it, this has nothing to do with the permit. And nope, they're not coming. So I walked over, shouldn't have. I went past the speakers, talked to the guys. They're not going to turn off, they have a permit. And snuffed me, and I went back to the place, not realizing I punctured my ears, my eyes, my brain is still swelling, I'm getting better. But I never should have to do that. The police should never, ever, when you say, we're not complaining type people, we're not complaining type people. We are reasonable people that support everybody. I'm a retired police officer myself, police commander, and this is awful. So, go on.
Thank you, Janice. I think you made your point.
Okay, but there are a couple other things. I'm not done.
So you need more time?
I
Is
I need
that
a little
it?
bit more time.
I'm sorry, everybody else, you're waiting for
No,
your
there's
time.
only one.
She's
There's one more
taking-
after me, and she knows.
Right, there's a couple more after you.
Yeah, there's one after me. So she, anyway, I went to the police station after this. I couldn't stand and whatever, so I go, the police station's closed on Sunday, so you go through the little lobby there and you get on the bat phone. And I said, I need to talk to someone about the noise. I said, it's not just a permit or whatever. I said it was excessive noise. They put the same officer on, no names mentioned, and Ken was with me. The whole tirade of excuses. It was, first of all, that, we had 3 burglaries and 2 fights at the same time. Well, I took the time and paid for a lot of stuff. These are the calls, or what the officers did that night. None of that happened. And then he told me, well, it's their First Amendment right, once again. And they said, it's just like the Aryan nation that was here years ago. They have the right to do that. And I said, you have no idea. We're trapped in our home. We can't get away. There's my point. I've talked too much. But anyway, I hope you get the point. We need to stop them, cite them, and I hope tonight, when we go home, and I can sit on my balcony, and I can enjoy my dinner, and I don't have to hear that. It's enough, it's miserable. We've got enough people, we've got hundreds of people that would have a class action suit against this city. I don't want to do it. I think it's a beautiful city. But there's enough that we've documented so many things. It's terrible. Please, please take care of it.
Well, thank you, Janice.
Thank you for listening.
Aline Kohler? Welcome.
Hello, City Council members. Thank you for letting us speak today. My name's Eileen Kohler. I'm a resident here. I live at the Lofts building across from the Big Red Crane. I'd like to, first I want to say, I just want to piggyback on what everybody else has said completely. And also the noise activation cameras would be very helpful. Let's see. So I always get so nervous up here. So I'm here to support Coeur d'Alene North's petition for the downtown noise control. I'm also here to represent the Lofts building and our residents, and we're right on Sherman, as I said. So we get exactly what they get. We get it. They come around and they go around. They don't just disappear. A lot of times they just will go like these little Subarus and whatnot. They make a lot of noise. The teenagers that have, their cars altered to make these noises, they just will go around the blocks repetitively. And anyways, I just wanted to get that in there. My husband and I love living downtown. I do understand the typical noise that you expect in a city. The trash trucks at 6 a.m., sirens, and just the buzz, and a lot of other stuff. But when you're sitting on your patio, or you're sitting downtown at one of the nice restaurants, and just trying to, out on the patios, and you're trying to have conversation, and you either get startled, like, just startled, or you have to stop your conversation for the others to hear, that's just not right, And let me remind you, a lot of people here, they're here visiting and observing what's going on in our town, and they might be wanting to buy property or buy a condo downtown, which is great for taxes and such, right? So you might not think it's a big deal, but it's not just a noise factor. There's a lot of zooming around, like I mentioned, burnouts, lots of burnouts. Like I've seen them where they wait and then they go super loud, they go forward, these teenagers or whoever they are, but it's very loud. And so there's a lot of speed involved too. So it's a safety issue. It's not just noise. So there's a noise ordinance in place and it's not being enforced. I love our local police. I know they do a lot. I respect them. I appreciate them. And but I also know that living down here, the Coeur d'Alene police have a huge presence. I know they're capable of mastering this and putting an end to this. They need to come down hard on this to get the message across to the perpetrators. Not enforcing the law just brings disrespect for the law. What's the point in having laws if they are not enforced? As I recall, the fine is pretty hefty and could also bring in some extra revenue for the city. Thank you.
Thanks, Aline. Appreciate it. Next up, Michael Dobler. Michael, welcome.
Yeah, I'm all right. I don't need to address the council. Sorry. Thank you very much, Councilman McHugh.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, my point.
And last one on my list is Jim Riley. Jim? Thanks for coming out, Jim.
Thank you for your time, Mayor Woody, Mayor Evans, and council members, who I know most of you, and Mr. Tymason. I hadn't intended to speak tonight until just a week ago. I was sitting outside Sweet Lou's. I live across the street here at 701 East Front Avenue, and I was at Sweet Lou's and having a nice dinner, and I watched some of this purposeful noise. It's not unintentional, routine noise. This is purposeful noise. That's my first point. And these young people, I miss their young enthusiasm. I wished I still participated in that, but I don't anymore. But it's getting to be quite irresponsible, and I think there's a huge public safety issue. They are driving their vehicles in order to make that noise at reckless ways. They're leaning outside their car windows, I watched, trying to high-five each other going up and down the street. I mean, I think all of us that had good youth remember these things, but there's a better place for them to do it. So this is truly a public safety issue. Shortly after that, I'd just like to amend the earlier proposal. I read in the Wall Street Journal that there are cameras and machines that will record noise and record speed. I think this is a simple problem to solve with a little investment in that technology. You put it out there, enforce your ordinances, and it will solve a public safety issue most of all, and certainly a purposeful noise nuisance issue on top of that. So I'd encourage you to do that. I'd rather see $30,000 in one of those cameras than our great police officers having to try to figure out how to police us on the street. Let the cameras and the technology do it. Let our police officers pursue more important things that they're capable of. Thank you for your time. That's my input to you. I think you've heard enough today.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that. Any other public comments? Hearing none. Chief, you want to address any of these issues that might help let them know where we're going with this? We appreciate you getting this to us ahead of time. It gave us some time to kind of ponder and find out some direction possibly.
Mayor, while he's coming up, can I make a quick comment?
Oh, sure.
I just wanted to express my thanks to all of you for being so respectful of time and coordinating your effort and picking your speakers. That is just admirable on your part, and I just want to say thank you.
And just before you launch in, Chief, just one comment, kind of response to the last fellow there, that if you've watched some of our meetings, actually, there's a real difference of opinion in the town and our citizens about, the value of cameras that can record things like noise and license plates and all of that. And some of us think that makes a whole lot of sense, and a lot of folks don't. So, but unfortunately, that's something where who would think that that's a thing that we're going to fight a big war over? But that's, because that would make a whole lot of sense. But so anyway, Chief, yep. And I am curious what one of those costs too. One of those they're talking about. So okay, thanks.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. I was told that this topic is going to come up tonight, so I prepared just a couple thoughts regarding the issue. Is my time up already?
Time's up.
Too bad.
Oh.
Part of the plan.
To put this in perspective, I think sometimes people think that we don't take the noise ordinance seriously, that we don't do anything about it. And I would tell you that we absolutely empathize with the folks who are affected by this. And we have done some considerable enforcement efforts. So far this year, this is through July 31st of this year, we've made 230 vehicle noise-related contacts. The vast majority of those are in the downtown area. There were some comments about crashes and that sort of thing. In the last rolling 12 months, we've had a total of 1,691 crashes in our city. Calls involving crashes anyway. Some of those are non-reportable. 277 of those were injury crashes, and 25 of those were vehicle pedestrian crashes, which also includes bicycles, vehicles versus bicycles. What makes this problem a bit worse for us is we have a total of 3 traffic officers currently. One of them is going back to become an SRO here next week, so we will have 2 traffic officers. We're currently trying to fill those openings with folks who are currently reassigned with the downtown team and that sort of thing, so hopefully we will get some more folks assigned to traffic here in the near future. But I guess my point is, between the downtown teams who are focusing on the issues that surrounding the bars and that sort of thing, and our patrol folks and the limited traffic resources we have, we do pay attention to the noise issue when calls for service permits. I think everybody knows that this is by far our busiest time of year. And it is a rare moment in the afternoons when there is an officer available to just sit and listen to traffic. But I did that over the last couple of days, and I asked officers to do it over the last couple of days. I sat for 40 minutes yesterday and 35 minutes today right out in front of Coeur d'Alene North, and then I had an officer sit for an hour from 2 to 3, and another one between 4 and 5 today to address the noise issue and see what the problems were. I would tell you in the time that I spent there, the noisy vehicles I heard were, it was just routine traffic. There was a couple trash trucks that were really loud. They are. And a dump truck that was really loud, because they are. And that was it. The officers who stayed for the hour each time, they didn't make any noise-related stops because there weren't any vehicles that exceeded what the ordinance allows. We did stop one person on one of those electric motorcycles for doing a wheelie, but there was no noise violations that we saw during our time out there. And that's not to say that it doesn't occur. My point is just that they wouldn't occur during the time when we were out there. So if we had a more focused time when it was occurring and that sort of thing, then we can address our patrol efforts a bit more, but that's been a little problematic as well. During the evening hours, when we were told it was occurring the most time, we did have some emphasis patrols, and once again, they were largely unsuccessful. The technology issue was brought up a couple times. Those speed feedback cameras, they can be useful. I think the biggest thing that those do is it keeps the honest folks honest. The people who are going to intentionally rev their engines, it's not really going to have much of an effect on those, but the other folks, it does help them slow down. There are some people who take them as a challenge. They see how, especially if they just do the speed up. And some of them, when they flash, slow down. When you're going 1 mile an hour over the speed limit, those things become very ineffective for the daily routine traffic when everyone appears to be going, even a half a mile or a mile on over the speed limit, and all it does is flash slow down all the time, they become not as effective as well. One of our captains is looking into the technology issue of the cameras that identify noisy vehicles. And there's some problems with that. Those, as Councilmember English just alluded to, there is a bunch of folks that are really unhappy with the idea that we would be using the data in our license plate reader program or something else for something pertaining to noise. That would be, I think, a political decision for you folks to make if you choose to do so. They're expensive. I think the cheapest one we found was about $25,000 per camera. There's companies that can hope to recoup some of that cost, but that's problematic as well because they need access to systems that allow them to look at people's driver's licenses and the registrations to match up the driver with the vehicle, and they're using cameras to do all that. So as you guys know, in North Idaho, that is a bit of a political hot potato. Not saying it can't be done. I just wanted to tell you what we've learned so far. All that to say that we do take the problem seriously. Honestly, if it comes down to, for us, just an issue of resources. We don't have enough folks that just sit and focus solely on traffic, especially with just noise. The traffic officers we routinely put in places where we have the highest concentration of crashes to try to prevent the 1,691 crashes that we get annually. And with that, I'll take any questions if you have some.
Christie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, thank you for doing some homework on that. I think we could probably have Randy weigh in on the prosecution side of some of the camera footage as well. I'm not sure it's easy sailing, but and I'll get back to you, Randy, on that. So there's no doubt in my mind there's a lot of noise downtown. There is. It's the most bustling part of the city. I know when I've traveled to large cities, you can't leave your window open at night or you're not getting any sleep. And so I get that, living in it rather than just visiting. It's got to be awful. One of the things that we deal with up here is our budget. If you've listened to some of our budget meetings, the last couple of ones, we haven't even talked at all about increasing policing staff. Not zero for police. And the manpower issue is real. It just truly is. So I'm not sure if there's room in our budget to maybe increase the overtime for the police department a little bit and maybe do some emphasis patrols. But even with that, I need to manage expectations because they're doing so much overtime on so many other events. Sometimes it's hard to even staff those, and the retired commander will know that. It's difficult to staff sometimes. We can try to provide the money, which we don't have any, maybe give a few more resources. I would hope we could have that conversation, even if it's just a few more emphasis patrols at night just for this. I'd like to see us go that route. But our budget, I'm not sure where we're going to get the money, but we should have that conversation.
Mr. Gookin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, just for perspective on what it is the police department does, what kind of calls have you received or are monitoring right now that the police are actively investigating at this time?
Well, I turned my radio way down when this topic came up, so I don't know at this moment.
But earlier we were discussing.
At the time when I left the police department to come here, there were no units available. We had a couple different hot calls going on. We had a domestic violence call with a gun. We had another call about, after I got into the building here, another person waving a firearm around. All our cops were busy on those type of activities, and there wouldn't be any available for noise, at least at this moment.
Okay, just checking in. Someone asked about the car that's parked at Independence Point. What is that used for?
That's typically the downtown units. They park it there for visibility and deterrence, and then they walk around downtown to keep people from fighting and doing other things outside the bar district at night. And they also spend some time around the beaches and city parks and things like that.
Okay. And we had discussed, or you had discussed, I emailed Captain Hagar. They alluded to this article that was in the Wall Street Journal last week. And I emailed him one of the companies that does the cameras, and that's, I guess, a politically sensitive issue. But we'd also have to change our ordinance, wouldn't we? So you could enforce it.
I would have to do a bit of research into the changes that were recently made during the last legislative session. My understanding is there were some changes to the use of ALPR-type data and what a police department can use that data for. Infractions is not one of those permitted uses, so we would have to change the ordinance to make it a misdemeanor. And I don't know if we would have to have legal weigh in on this, if there's even a provision for an outside entity to access that data. So as it stands, we would have to make noise a misdemeanor, even to access that data, which, anyway, that might also present some problems.
Okay, so lots of things to discuss. Thank you.
Kiki?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to make a suggestion that this is actually public comment. This is not an agenda item. And I think that this problem is not going to go away. We've been hearing it from a lot of different information from different groups of people. We heard it last year. We're going to hear it next year. I would just suggest that we create a group, a task force, if you will, to sit down with all these entities and come up with some real solutions instead of just having us debate it on a one-off during public comment. So I just think that might be the way to go.
Well, I think that's fine, Kiki. I suppose we probably need it to bring it back. You're correct, for public comment. We should bring it back as an agenda item.
Correct.
And then make some action on it. But I wanted to give Randy a second to follow up on prosecution side of it.
Well, the prosecutor's office handles a lot of cases that are brought to us by the police department, and we have to prioritize those as well, domestic violence, DUIs, and so forth. But that being said, excessive noise complaints or if there is a citation written for those, we will deal with those as they work their way through the system. The chief was right. In 2025, the legislature passed 49-1432, which limits the use of automatic license plate readers to misdemeanor crimes or felony crimes or traffic accidents. And it's actually a crime for a public agency to use it for other purposes. So you would be faced with making a noise complaint a misdemeanor, which can carry jail time. And so the question becomes, is that something that the council wants to do?
Thank you.
It's something they want to do.
It may be, but you have to make the
It's
decision.
good for us to have the information, though. Thank you.
Okay, here's your moment. City Council announcements. Kenny?
Oh, no. I would like to talk
Chime
about
in
this
on
some
this?
more because I have a ton of different questions and thoughts, and I would really like the opportunity to do this more than just say
Gotcha.
thank you, goodbye. I want them to know that we're going to do something about it the best we can. I have some questions about the speed limit signs and how effective they are, and do they, Michael said, 6 to 8 miles an hour. That's a big deal. If that's what we can get out of it, that's a big deterrent. So I'm absolutely all on board with making this an agenda item and diving into this a little bit more.
Gotcha.
Excellent.
So the reason we're having the discussion was these folks prepared this quite extensive input, got it to us early, and that was my thought of having the chief come and Randy be prepared to address some of the issues. We may not have all the answers, but your efforts and your concentration is worth this extra time, and we don't normally go into this, but obviously there's some passion here, and it seemed like the right thing from my perspective to do, even though it's not the norm.
There's a lot more to.
Well, I would just add that, I think it needs to get to an action item at some point, but I also think Kiki's right. There's a whole lot of behind the scenes of stuff that we need to spend some time and do this kind of special committee and be able to look at some things so that we're not, I wouldn't want to see it come back a month from now when it's just, kind of put together with all the other stuff we're doing. So, I think we should take some time to do it right and then do that. And but keep it going so it isn't just buried and forgotten, because we have, all of us been here a while, and we've heard this before we changed the ordinance, and I do know we have the movable signs that go around at different times. So there are some, some steps we've taken, but Yeah, keep it going, but not for an action item yet, but action behind the scenes, so.
Mr. Kukin.
Thank you. Where did you get that shirt? Are we selling shirts like that, or are you just special?
Wherever I wear this has a nice City of Coeur logo and a place out in Hayden. You can buy them, which I mean, you take your own shirt, which I did, and pay for it.
Oh, okay.
Because I like to have logo shirts for my show off the team colors.
Well, that's really sweet. I was thinking it was something that we were missing out of, that there was a kiosk somewhere.
I'm glad you noticed, okay.
It's really cool, Dan. So I wanted to...
Wait, hang on there. We're still yakking up here.
So a question was raised about a speed sign. Troy, speed signs are expensive, and we don't have that in the budget, and no one up here has the spare cash for it. But there has been a precedent elsewhere in the city where a group has bought their own speed sign. Is that something that these people could do?
Yeah, we've worked with them, brought that idea forward. We've used the mobile one down there, as you've seen some pictures, because then they don't get accustomed to seeing one sign that's permanently there.
Yeah.
And of course, that allows us to deploy it in other places throughout the city when that request comes up. So that's how we've handled that speed sign in the interim basis.
But it's something that they could approach the city about if they wanted to do that.
They could.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, which is not related to this, sorry, but we had a bond sale today.
Oh, yeah.
And the bond sale was successful, and I guess our rate came down.
Yes, I would like to keep going on and on about that, but yes, you were successfully in the market today. The rates came in exactly where we told the voters that it would come in at, and that was about March of this year. There was a huge appetite to buy the bonds, which really helps lower the cost for our constituents. $16.4 million, sold in about 2 hours and 30 minutes. We will close on it September 3rd. The money will hit us that next day, and it was an awesome day from my desk, so thank you for bringing that up.
No, it was cool. I mean, on a day where the market was rather crummy, it was rather good news. So congratulations to everyone. So.
Any other council announcements? And I don't have anything, so we're moving on to consent calendar, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented, including resolution number 25-043.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Discussion.
Counts.
Thank you,
Christie.
Mr. Mayor. I just have a question on the surplus and auction of the police vehicles. There's 11 of them. That's a lot. And they don't look very good. They're really old. So I can see why we're selling them. But my question is, when they're surplus, does that go back to the police budget?
It does not. It goes to the general fund revenue line item for miscellaneous income.
Okay. Is that the course the business has always been that way?
Yeah, the assets sold by the general fund go back to the general fund, not necessarily to the department. Once in a while in streets, when we sell a large piece of equipment, they would like to buy something used coming back, we'll do it that way. But the cars that are in today's agenda are also funded by the general fund. That was mainly due to savings that the department had throughout the year so we could buy them early, which really lowered our costs for the budget for next year, which you saw in the police department budget. So we're buying cars in the current year that'll be used next year.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Gookin.
Yeah, so following up on that, Troy, is there a policy about how selling vehicles and where the funds go?
There's a Government Finance Officers Association way in which to do business, and since it's a general fund asset, it would come back to the general fund. You appropriate all the dollars for the expenditure, so you have control over that. And we put the income in for the miscellaneous income to help square the budget up so it's balanced.
Thank you. I see our financial guru is here.
Yeah, just to back up what Mr. Tymeson said, we have a revenue line item for surplus assets sold. It is treated as a revenue. Sometimes the way that we budget expenditures through our general fund is by department, but we do not budget our revenues in the general fund by department. And we sometimes get some requests from departments to record income against an expenditure to back those expenditures out. That is not proper accounting procedure, so we do need to record that to disposal of asset revenue. And at this point, it would mean if we were to really complicate our general fund to allocate specific revenues by department, that is not something I would recommend. I think it would be very confusing to follow our budget.
Okay. So that's a GASB thing, that's not a city policy.
Correct, yeah. We would, if that was recorded in that way, we would have to make an adjustment in our audit to move it to disposal of assets, revenue.
If I could just follow up, Mr. Mayor. Katie, is that different from the auxiliary funds? Because we just listened to a dump truck proposal last week. Is that different? They can sell the asset and then it goes to their funds?
So oftentimes, a department will say that some of the purchase is being, set aside against it. That's typically, or offsetting that with income and expenditures. It's not recorded to a budget necessarily unless it is an enterprise fund. So enterprise funds, you would see that natural income and expenditure within that fund, and it's easier to follow. We don't do that for the general fund. We also, we typically talk about when we have revenues for asset disposals that are unexpected. So let's say a piece of equipment goes down mid-year, we don't have a budget for it. We will kind of view that as being partially funded by whatever we can scrap the other equipment for. When we have line items budgeted for equipment, it is, the replacements are in the budget. So you're essentially reallocating funds that are being recouped for something that remains in the budget. Okay. So I would recommend maybe if we wanted to look at that, we reduce the, I'm not sure how we would record that in a clear way to.
Oh, no, I was just trying to figure out how it all worked, not making any suggestions.
Oh, no worries.
Thank you.
So in other words, money's fungible.
Say again?
Money's fungible.
Sure, yeah.
Good to hear from an accountant. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I had another thing to say about the consent calendar, which is, so we have the art currents coming forward in the consent calendar, and I actually got an email today from someone who saw that this was on the consent calendar and asked where they could see the pictures. So I would just offer, moving forward, I know we only do this once a year, which means it's not routine in a way, but it would be really cool if we would have had a presentation to show all these art pieces, because I was looking over them in our packet, which is where you can see them, and some of them look really fun. And it's just kind of, I think we're missing out an opportunity here to share with the public what the committee's done and what they're going to see around town, and that's just something that I would suggest moving forward.
Beautiful.
I think the link is open.
Well, how about a roll call?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but Dan said that the link, it's true, on the webpage, there's an art currents thing, but it's out of date.
Gotcha.
So it's just, I'm sorry?
The pictures are also in the council packet.
Yeah, they're in the but it was like, okay, so you can download this, 290K packet, or I really wanted to show them the link, and unfortunately, the link is last year's link, so it's like, okay, watch the meeting, but you can't watch the meeting anyway. Go look downtown, you'll find them.
We'll fix it.
Yeah. Thank you.
We're voting.
Oh, I was enjoying the moment, sorry. How about a roll call, please?
Wood.
Yes.
Miller.
Aye.
Evans.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Gookin.
Okay.
English.
Yes.
Other business, Resolution 25044, approval of purchase of Ford F-250 truck and associated upfitting costs in the amount of $125,000 for the fire department. Lucas, Fire Chief, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm here to request approval to purchase that F-250 for not more than $125,000. It should be less. This request would be funded from the GEO bond, as we just spoke about a minute ago. This is an immediate need, as our battalion chiefs are currently responding out of a response unit that is utilized for something else and it's not set up correctly. If approved, the in-service time would be about 8 to 9 weeks until it's in service and ready to go. And at some point in the future, in the probably near future, we would also need to come back and request another one because we work off of redundancy, so we would need another one at some point in the future.
Any
I stand for questions.
I'll look for a motion first, then we'll do questions.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 25-044, approving the purchase of a Ford F-250 truck and associated upfitting cost in the amount not to exceed $125,000 for the fire department.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion, Mr. Gookin.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is on, and it was in the motion too, what does uplifting mean? I know,
Upfitting, it's
upfitting. Upfitting. So what is that?
So we get a regular truck from Mike White Ford, we'll say. It needs a canopy, it needs a pull-out tray, it needs sirens and lights, and those kinds of things actually Mike White Ford can do specifically. So then I think that was $18,000 in upfitting costs, and then on top of that, the other up to $40,000 would be for radios and other accessories to attach any of the equipment that the BCs need.
So you couldn't just say tricking it out.
I could have.
We call it.
If you would have appreciated tricking it out, maybe I'll do that next time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kenny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, Lucas, you said you're going to need another one in the not too distant future. Would Mike White have given you a better deal on 2?
Unknown. That is another scenario I'm working on with them that sounds like they might have a deal for us. I'm hoping that comes through. But no promises.
And how lucky we are to have Mike White do that now, so we don't have to ship that someplace else to get that work done anymore.
100%.
So great job on all of that. Thank you. Tricking it out, yes.
Tricking it out.
All right, hearing no others, roll call, please.
Miller.
Aye.
Evans.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Gookin.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Moving on. Katie, approving setting the public hearing for September 16th for amendments to the 2024-25 financial plan. We will be looking back at that point, huh?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm a little disappointed we had a full house. I thought it was for this presentation here. So I'm going to... Just to start off, it was a great day in the finance department with the bonds selling. It was really neat to watch those bonds sort of sell off like hotcakes there. Once the screen refreshed and everything was purchased, it was a good feeling to know that there are so many investors out there that are really just impressed with the way that we do business and our bond rating coming in really well. So that was great, great to watch. And
now we know what
I'm usually the
sports is
bearer of
for
bad
accountants.
news, so I thought I'd bring some good news today.
Sports is.
So we are going through the process of amending our budget, which we do every year in order to account for things that council has seen come forward throughout the year, and then just sort of making some adjustments throughout the budget to ensure that departments have the best reports to rely on as we wrap up the year. Some of this is crystal ball work. Especially revenues. I did spend quite a bit more time going through revenues during the bond rating process. It was a pretty rigorous process working with Moody's. They really wanted to know where we expect to end the year, and of course, my crystal ball wasn't, perfectly polished, but we did our best. So I did go through the main categories of revenues that have changed. Some of these are very minor changes. My methodology for updating these revenues is looking at prior year. I also did some analysis looking at where we are as of June 30 is when I ran this, and where we were as of June 30 in a number of prior years. And some of them had a very nice trend to follow. Some of them were sort of all over the place, and that flagged me to look at, okay, what else is going on here in this category? So some of the larger ones, we had quite a bit of excess or additional revenue in our permits that are related to building and inspection. I think that tracks with the amount of building we've had in the city. So it was good to see those revenues up. That helps our ending fund balance. And then looking at intergovernmental, some mixed bag there. Looks like we're going to receive more highway user funds than anticipated. We're still looking down when we look at liquor, and our highway district is looking down. So, you know, there's two parts to that. It could be that we increased budget looking at prior year because the trend was upward. So maybe, you know, it's leveled off, and that's why we're seeing we're coming in short against budget. The highway district, we've received the payments through the county. Those come through with our property taxes. So that's looking to be close to the final number for this year. So that would relate to what their levy is and what portion we receive as part of that formula. So just a few minor adjustments through these categories are, of course, we're going to receive our penalty and interest on property taxes. When that hits the bank, I'll, that number is actually a little, no, actually I've updated it to what we expect to receive for penalty and interest. And that is one time, of course, catching us up through that settlement. And just a couple more adjustments with miscellaneous revenue. We will see that surplus asset, or that surplus sale. That's the line item where we will record the revenue for those asset disposals if that's received in the current fiscal year. So where do we look to revenues when we didn't see a major increase with all the other categories? That would come from fund balance, and I'm projecting that we will go into fund balance about 3.1 million. That is expected. We had a couple of projects that were funded through fund balance, and so we'll get through that. And then we had a few changes with our other funds. We had a grant come through for Fippity Park through our drainage fund. I hope I said that correctly. And then that brings our total to revenue changes of 3.5 million. I'm going through pretty quickly. I hope that's okay. As far as our adjustments, we have a few things. When you see benefits or wages, that wouldn't be we've added positions or given wage increases outside of what was expected. That would be someone changed a benefit plan most likely, and that can add up quite a bit. So we make sure that we update those wages and benefits department or by department unless there are savings that can offset that within the wages and benefits category. So we had a mid-year adjustment for our liability insurance that has to do with increased property values and getting our properties valued at the correct value. And we had some carryover line items. We municipal services sees some difficulty with the supply chain. This is actually carried over from last year, and we're shoring it up for now. So hopefully all those supply chain issues are resolved and we don't have any big projects going on unexpectedly in our IT department, like the cyber attack. So our fire department, we are seeing a very large adjustment to constant staffing line item, and so that is where we fund the minimum number of personnel we can have on any given shift, and that has become quite costly this year due to a number of injuries. And so this is something that we can't really control necessarily. We've talked about it in the budget workshop to add some staff, which would help with our shifting some of that to just staffing costs. But in the end, we still will have additional costs in this department. And so the way that we hope to have this number decrease is that we get all of our staff well and back at work. So we have a pretty large line item here for, related to the fire damage with the PD storage building. And so those are some of those costs that we know were coming, and we have funding from our insurance settlement that was sitting in fund balance. So fund balance would be covering these from prior year revenues. Couple of adjustments for streets that have been discussed in prior meetings, and just a few minor adjustments for our Parks Department and our Building Inspection Department. All other funds, some minor changes, and that brings us to our total expenditure changes matching what we are showing as revenue changes. Stand for questions.
Council, questions? Christie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Katie, on the revenue adjustments under the intergovernmental revenue, at the workshop, I handed off to either you or Troy, I can't remember. You can blame each other. A sample ordinance for easement fees for city property. I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at that, if that's something that you're going to come back to us to educate council, if it's a possibility. Just any feedback.
Yeah, I think that would be a collaboration between me and our legal department. It hasn't been something with the mix of just preparing the budget in general, but thank you for the reminder, and I will hope that we can get something together that at least either explains whether or not we can do it, or if so, what the revenue would look like there.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments? Mr. Gookin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Katie, in the ordinance, it lists estimated other revenues, and then it has an item called beginning balance. Do you know what beginning balance is?
That would be our fund balances. So some of these reports are, they're either statutory reports, so some of the terms can be used interchangeably. For example, I like to use fund balance when we're talking about spending fund balance, but beginning balances is likely in the statute somewhere where we're required to report certain things in our resolutions and ordinances, so interchangeable with fund balance.
It's just curious to me because it says beginning balance, and then for the budget, we budgeted $28 million, and now it says we have $30 million in there. And so I'm just curious, if the fund balance is going down, why did that item go up? Or does that mean, do we just have that cash on hand? I don't understand.
Let me,
It's in the ordinance, it's not in your slide.
yeah, I'm looking at the ordinance here. Okay, so this is total, all funds, including our utility funds, and that is showing that we are budgeting to use more fund balance or beginning balances.
Okay.
And some of this, we more likely than not, we will come in well under this. We have capacity built, especially in our utilities, with some of those really costly projects. We want to make sure that if the work is done before the year end, that we have capacity to pay for that. So this number is, it's not as easy to follow because it's all funds in it.
Okay, it just was curious because it went up, and so it's like, okay, so if this is revenues and the revenues went up, but it's called beginning balance, I don't know, it just,
Yeah.
but it's your world.
No, yeah, that's a fair question. I think sometimes some reports would just show all beginning balances and then show where it is. But yes, that's what is budgeted to be used.
Okay, thank you.
May I add an editorial comment after 25 years? In fact, it was 25 years ago I pretty much started here. This is a unique situation that should be updated. We are forecasting your year-end expenses the end of August. We end September. So guess what we do? We don't know what the crystal ball is going to do, so we beef up because we have savings, now known as beginning balance, so that we've given ourselves enough room to fund what we don't know is going to happen in the month of September. So we can come back and share with you that we're going to not go over this number, and this is where it came from, because I don't know how much overtime is going to occur. I don't know what's going to happen with constant manning. So it's, again, Troy's editorial comment, this is unfortunately super antiquated when we weren't a $140 million organization forecasting a budget some 40 days ahead of when it ends. Private sector doesn't do anything like this. So Katie's doing a great job. You're going to see the same thing. We've done our best to forecast. We have cash in case we do have another, windstorm or anything else that could occur in the next 6 weeks. So I just share with you Troy's comments on what we're doing here tonight as an exercise. And thankfully, we have enough cash to take care of the headaches. Everything that's in here you would have approved, because it would be above and beyond what you approved in your budget. So thank you for allowing me color commentary tonight.
That's great.
Well done.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, look for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 25045, which is approving the setting of a public hearing, so this isn't done yet, public hearing on September 16th, 2025, for amendments to the year 24-25 financial plan.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Evans.
Yes.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Miller.
Aye.
English.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Gookin.
Yeah.
All right, I need a motion to move into executive
So,
session.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74206-1J, 74206A, 1 sub A, to deliberate on a labor contract or offer, formulate a counter offer.
Second.
The second. Discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Gookin.
Oh, yeah.
English.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Miller.
Aye.
We are in executive session. Thank you, everyone.